Louisiana All-American Sports Show. 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 Louisiana. If the sports you wanna talk about, then listen to the hottest show that's coming out the South. It's Gerard, Hatfield, and Coach Perry Daniels, man. They're gonna sit you down and tell you all about the game and make it plain. 96.9 FM, that's the station. To hear the best sports talk show in the nation. Without hesitation, you should get with this and get your popcorn ready for you better not miss. Louisiana All-American Sports Show. Louisiana All-American Sports Show. Louisiana All-American Sports Show. Louisiana. It's Joker B. Check this out.
I'm just so fresh, so clean. Good morning, Baton Rouge. It is a winter wonderland today, except it feels more like spring, and we should be going to Blue Bayou Park with the wonderful 75-degree temperatures here in the height of Christmas season here on Baton Rouge. You are tuned in to the 50th edition in the year 2015 of the Louisiana All-American Sports Show. Good morning. This is Eric Hatfield.
And I'm Gerard Piper, a.k.a. Joker P.
Oh, and Coach, I'm going to guess Coach Perry Daniels is on hold, probably patching our guest in.
Coach got us on hold. I seen you dabbing this morning, man. You're doing your dab.
Yeah, I just, for some reason, I just got fired up by when I heard the intro music, man. It's not like wintertime where I just have to bundle up. It feels kind of warm, and I just got to move around a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
it's one of those days. There we go. Coach, you're on the line.
Is that Coach?
Yeah. Good morning, Coach Perry. Nation's capital.
All right. Can you repeat that again? You kind of broke up a little bit. I know who you are, but tell the listeners who you are again.
Coach Perry Daniels, calling from the nation's capital. Eric, I heard you mention our guest, so they're scheduled to call me?
Yes, he's should be around 11:05, and if not, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he's expecting us, and vice versa.
Awesome.
All righty. So anyway, look, it's another edition, another day with some sports. We're kind of going from. It's funny because I mentioned how we should be transitioning to winter, and we're not. But what we are doing is transitioning from football to basketball, as the last of the high school football contest for the year will take place today in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. We will be bringing you live updates of the Class 5A championship between East Baton Rouge Parish's own Zachary Broncos and the John Ehret Patriots from Jefferson Parish in the New Orleans area. I think it's going to be a really good game. Wow. Please log into LouisianaAllAmericanSports.com at 7 o'clock. It won't be you won't be hearing the pleasantries of my voice, but you will have play-by-play updates, the live graphic interface that you might have come to see on Friday nights. You will see that. We will keep you up with the blow-by-blow on that very exciting contest. And obviously, being in Baton Rouge, I'm saying go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Yep. So, guys, what's shaking this morning?
Hey, man, we had a great afternoon last night. Louisiana All-American Sports Game of the Week was held in St. Gabriel, none other. It's our first time visiting down there. They had a tournament that was in East Iberville. And it was a great tournament, man. And so the first game we had was the Baker Buffaloes. They took on the Port Allen Pelicans, and we followed the Port Allen Pelicans and Coach Richard here on Louisiana All-American Sports. And what a game that it was. It came out. I was actually there. We covered it. Baker Buffaloes end up winning the game. End up losing the game. 61-51, but they made a game out of it. Port Allen came out with the experience that they have with Coach Richard. I thought they played very good team basketball. They didn't turn the ball over as much. Baker, on the other hand, they came out. They had a lot of athleticism, had great players, but they was playing mostly one-on-one type of basketball, and it wasn't a cohesion with the team, and that's what I saw. So they was making plays, but they didn't have, they wasn't diving on the floors for each other for loose balls and stuff like that. It was just playing one-on-one basketball. And they would get a basket here or two there and kind of cut into the lead, but they never really, every time they got close to get it between 5 and 4 points, then Port Allen would push ahead. It was a great job by Coach Richard, and that was the first game. We actually had a double header for you guys last night in the second game. St. James comes back in the second half to defeat the host team, which was East Iberville Tigers. And that was a game for the ages last night. It was a very good game. East Iberville was the home team that was hosting the East Iberville tournament yesterday, and so they had the crowd with them. They had the lead. They was doing everything they wanted to do in the first half, but the second half, St. James came out with a full court press. They took they got one of the tallest players on their team is only about 6'4", 6'5", but they switched him to point guard. So he was actually bringing the ball up the floor, and after he bring the ball up the floor and pass it to the two guard, he would go down and post up. Wow. So this guy was playing different positions on the floor. He would bring the ball up, pass the ball off, then go down, post up. They would throw the ball down to him, and he would spin and turn around. And so he just pretty much kind of took over the game, and it was a great, phenomenal job. They put a full court press on, and and just to go to show you that full court press, they would took a 20-point lead and reduced it down, and at the end of the game, within the last minute of the game, that was their first time leading in the game. And once they took the lead, that was it. So they pulled it out at the end of the game with great defense. And so, I got to take my hats off to Coach James Smith with the St. James, and I met him last night. And he wants us to come out there. So, we're here at Louisiana All-American Sports. We gladly network with other teams and try to showcase the young people that's here in our local area, not only just in our local area, but in the state of Louisiana. That's why we're the Louisiana All-American Sports Show. But those were the two games we had. That was our kickoff. One of our first games here this season. We're transitioning over to basketball here. It's going to be a lot of great upcoming games, so make sure you guys tune in and listen.
I got to take my hat off to you, Joker. This was Joker P's first time calling the game solo. I had some personal obligations, couldn't make it last night. You guys have been treated to 3 hours of my voice every now and then, but I think you got a much better deal with a much smoother melody and a much smoother flow with Joker. But good job last night, man, with that first time on the solo. I know how it could be. So
yeah, it was. Around. Even Coach was like, man, I know you had a lot going on and everything, and so it's a little growing pains, but I love it, man. And I'm just so happy to have the opportunity here to be able to showcase the young talent that's here, and I'm starting to notice that this thing is starting to build a little bit. And we're going to do our part here at Louisiana All-American Sports. You believe that?
Believe that.
Believe that.
Absolutely. Hey, that was a great job, man. I was listening, and two really good basketball games. The Baker Buffaloes and Coach Holmes found it a little tough going, but you can best believe Coach Holmes is going to get that ship right. Sounds like they're playing hard, just a little too many turnovers from what I heard through the radio last night.
You hit it right on the head.
So, Coach Jamie Holmes, former coach at Family Christian Academy. We're expecting him on the air any moment now. And I'm going to tell you, this is a guy who knows how to squeeze the juice from a lemon. I mean, Family Christian Academy is a Class C school, very small school. I've seen them play very, very competitively, advance deep into the Class C playoffs every year, so it seems. And I expect him to do the same. He's going to have more resources at his disposal being at a bigger school in Baker, but it just seems to be a school where their sports programs have kind of maybe lost that leadership or lost the direction they need, and I think they're making changes to improve that, and they definitely made a solid pick with Coach Holmes, and I even expect this to be one of those teams, because I listened to a lot of the names I recognized were also football players in the Baker team who I could see are clearly athletes but just need some guidance. This is one of those teams, the Baker Buffaloes, where I would not be surprised to see them be playing very differently towards the end of the season than they are this year, and they got a great test last night in Port Allen, who's a contender for a Class 3A championship every year.
Yes, man, it was a good competitive game from Baker. They, just like Coach said, they tried hard. Just for too many turnovers, careless turnovers, unforced turnovers, and those are the ones that kill you. And also Port Allen, one of their main guys, Nigel Allen, wasn't in the game.
I caught that.
Injured. I read earlier that these guys just played Madison Prep Tuesday night.
That's correct.
And so I don't know if he got injured in that game. It was a couple of good players. Joseph Morgan wasn't in the game also. They were sitting there on the sideline, and they still pulled it out and still won. So that just go to show you the great job that Coach Richard is doing over there.
Well, no, look, if you don't have Jordan Morgan or Nigel Allen, you're going to be at a disadvantage, and it would not surprise me if they left everything out on the floor against Madison Prep. I actually could not find a score in the newspaper for that game, which to me is one of the bigger, prep basketball matchups of the season this early in the year, but I'll try to see if we can find that for our listeners later who are interested. That's usually one of the bigger matchups. So, look, why don't we tell the crowd what we have coming up here on Louisiana All-American Sports?
What we got coming next is Noel Jackson.
Oh, no. We're learning for that. Well,
he does come next with Music Satisfaction.
that wasn't exactly what I meant.
That's not what you meant.
No,
I didn't think so. But
no, we have coming up today. We have again, we're efforting Coach Jamie Holmes of the Baker Buffaloes. We're going to try to also get you caught up on some prep action, and also we have some news. We will be delivering the East Baton Rouge Parish basketball tournament, which will be taking place the week after Christmas. That will be carried live on Louisiana AllAmericanSports.com, and we'll also have replays of those games on Friday, January 1st, here on 96.9 FM WHYR Baton Rouge Community Radio. So special, first of all, thanks to Mr. Armand Brown and the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board for letting us share this event with you. There's going to be a lot of good basketball. The girls just wrapped up their tournament this past week, but I'm expecting there to be a lot of post-holiday action on the hardwood, as it usually is, and usually some big matchups in that tournament. And actually, Coach Perry Daniels is the one that put this on our radar. Coach, do you know a lot about the history of the tournament? I know we've talked about it a couple of times in the past, and this is the first time we actually get to be there.
Well, yeah, just think about all of the players from the Baton Rouge area that have made it professionally. Folks like, although Gerard Martin never had an opportunity to play in the tournament, but you do have the young man from Terra, the former New Orleans Hornet now.
Marcus Thornton?
Yes, Marcus Thornton played in this contest. Garrett Temple played in the East Baton Rouge Parish tournament.
Big Baby.
Just a Big Baby Davis. Just a number of elite athletes. This tournament is rich in history, and if you are the slightest bit interested in high school sports and basketball in general, this is the place to be during the holiday season. The kids are out of school. There's not a lot going on in the city, and it's just a great place to go and absorb some good basketball and tremendous sportsmanship. So we greatly appreciate Mr. Armand Brown, former principal of McKinley High, former collegiate athlete at Southern University, former Capitol High, all-state player, Armand Brown. We greatly appreciate it, sir.
And before we get our song in, there was one score of significance last night in a matchup of state champions. The two-time Class 3A champion U-High Cubs defeated the three-time Class 2A champions Riverside Academy 73-63 on Thursday night. You'll be hearing those names quite a bit more as the season presses on.
Most definitely, man. I just want to get you all's take, and Coach also. You know, we're coming up to the end of the high school football season. I just want to get y'all thoughts on what do you think about this year? Do you have any surprises or anything? Or what do you think overall about high school football this year?
The biggest surprise to me was Catholic High. I mean, look, they've always been very good, and they've always been a contender. But for them to, I would not have expected them to win the Division I championship. They went there. They even trailed Rummel, who's a powerhouse. That they seem to be in the dome or near the dome every single year for since I was in high school, and you know, I say, let me back that up. The dominance of Baton Rouge area schools in general, Catholic High, Southern Lab, Parkview Baptist. Right. I mean, Baton Rouge is not known as no more, as Coach pointed out last week, for their dominance on the hardwood, but we dominated on the gridiron this year, and that was really impressive. You know, Parkview Baptist pulled off some shocking upsets, including U-High to advance. Southern Lab finally, not really a surprise, but I'm glad to see them finally claim what I thought that they've been working on for the last 3 years. So I mean, just the reigning now of the area, that you know, you have Baton Rouge now in the non-select schools winning 3 of the 4 state championships. So it's different this year. We're now right in the hub of really high school sports in Louisiana, football and basketball. Who knows? Maybe it'll be baseball this year too. It still seems to be dominated by the New Orleans schools, but who knows? It might be a matter of time before that changes too. But the transition out here to a little bit to the west, to Baton Rouge kind of taking over our prize sport of football, was what stood out to me this year.
Well, for me, Joker, that's an excellent question. For me, it was the phenomenal job that was done by Coach Valdez and his staff and the Scotlandville Hornets. They just, taking over that job weeks prior to the first game of the season, and for that team to go as far as they did and do as well as they did is truly amazing. And Coach Valdez made it look easy, but that was no easy feat for the Scotlandville Hornets. On the other end of the spectrum, I was totally shocked and disappointed by our alma mater. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just anticipated and expected better from that football program. So hopefully they can get that together.
Yeah, hopefully they can get that together. And same thing with me, man. It was a big disappointment. But actually, your first answer was leading to my next question, and which is kind of a debatable question. I thought 2 first-year coaches. I'm guessing you're going to lean toward Valdez of who did the better job, Southern Labs coach or Scotlandville's coach.
Oh well, no, I've got to lean towards Southern Labs. They won it all.
But
I think I know where Joker's going with that. I mean, as far as the final result, as far as reaching the goal, the goal is to win the championship. So from that objective criteria, it's indisputable. Definitely Coach Randall. But as far as let's say there was a Coach of the Year voting, I would give a slight edge to Coach Valdez, and this is why. Coach Randall took over a school that was expected to win a championship, that was one step away. He made some very good adjustments, particularly on offense, and he made sure that there was, the last 2 rounds of the playoffs, he made sure there was no doubt. He went to the Superdome when they kicked the St. Mary's Tigers' teeth in. The game was over in the first quarter, so he did that. Not Coach Mitchell, but Coach Mitchell did build them up to it, kind of like with Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay, and Tony Dungy did not win the Super Bowl. John Gruden did that, but Tony Dungy built it up to where Gruden had to carry the ball over the goal line, so to speak, since we're using a football analogy. But Coach Valdez has made Scotlandville, granted Scotlandville won one playoff game this year, and they were nipped in the slightest way, but this is a team, they are going to get better, and they are going to become, Scotlandville is going to be one of those teams where you can add football and basketball to their repertoire of dominance, really, and that's what's going to be impressive. Scotlandville is not known as I've told this story a few times on the air. My girlfriend went to Scotlandville High School, and when I mentioned a couple of times this year we were covering a Scotlandville game, she looks at me, they have a football team, really? That's how relatively unknown the football program was for, say, older students, and how under the radar they've been. And Coach Eric Randall took them up to one level, and now you have Coach Valdez that I think is going to have them contending for a championship, going to the Superdome in just a couple of years.
What about you, Coach? Who you lean toward? Oh, you already said it. You lean towards Coach Randall, right?
Absolutely. Because, even though, exactly for the reasons that Eric said, they won it all, and that's the goal. But I do comprehend that Randall took over a lot sooner than Valdez did in his job, which makes Valdez's job, what he accomplished, a little bit more remarkable.
Right.
So.
Well, good, man. Hey, we can go transition over, man, to the song of the day, if you guys want to. I have a great song.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I have a great song this week. It's by an artist called J. Rawls, featuring Sadat X and Wise Intelligence. You're going to like this one here, so check it out.
Yeah, you got your man here, .X. Worldwide. J. Rawls. Peace. No, tell him how it was when you came up. Yeah, I came up in that time when rap was first generated. First coming out.
Man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ram Emanuel, you got to go. You got to go, man.
That's a pretty good outro. Yes. Gotta mix that in.
Hey, man, I love it. We got to teach the children, man. We got to teach the children.
Yes, indeed, man. Great song right there by Wise Intelligent, J. Rawls, featuring Sadat X, man. Wow, that's what's up right there.
He spit some history about some late 90s or mid to late 90s rappers that were. It's funny, those guys did their thing. They spoke. They had, I think, a lot more content beyond party music, where there was an actual social message, and they sold. Nowadays, you really got to dig for some folks. I mean, I don't really hear it on the radio. The only people that kind of even get any kind of run might be, every now and then, you might have like a Nas that'll come out and spit something kind of, I'll just say non-party music with a little bit of a message, but not too heavy. But you don't hear that stuff selling nowadays. You don't, and I hate to sound like an old person saying, back in my day, we cared about our rap music, because I listened to NWA and Cash Money and all that other stuff too. But, I also took time to listen to stuff with a message. I just don't see that nowadays with these young people. And also the rap that's on the radio, the rap is more crap. Is that you have these guys singing with this auto-tune nonsense, and they can't sing, and it's not all sing song with the same cadence. Man, so anyway, good for spitting that. I'll get off my soapbox. I'm not sure where I was going, except to say it was better. It was better nowadays.
Go ahead, let it out, brother. Go ahead and vent.
Yeah, we were gonna let you roll.
Right.
Hey, but look, two dynamics happened there, Eric, which changed the landscape of music. One, we saw that the independent rap label went by the wayside. There are several of them out there, but they have no avenue to get their art to the people. The second thing that took place is we lost independent, minority-owned radio stations.
Yes.
So now all of the radio stations are conglomerates.
Right.
So they're owned. So every station is owned by 6 or 7 different companies, which makes a station like WHYR so valuable.
Bingo. Mm-hmm.
Because we're able to provide a different voice than what you normally hear. So big props to WHYR Baton Rouge Community Radio 96.9. We need financial support so that we can continue to deliver these type of unique voices and messages and deliver conscientious music to you like we do once a week every Saturday. Daniel Holsclaw has been convicted. The former Oklahoma police lieutenant who was found guilty of sexually assaulting 13 different women while in uniform on duty. He was pulling women over, threatening to take them to jail if they did not perform sexual favors for him. All but one of the women were African American. This is a dominant culture male who was found guilty. Now we await his sentencing.
I gotta say,
well, yesterday they did. I saw the video on Facebook where the judge was announcing all of the ones he was guilty for, going through each count, and he was sitting there crying. Did you see the video?
Oh yeah, I saw.
He was bawling, and I'm like, did you see that?
Isn't that the epitome of like privilege, though?
Right.
Do you expect not to be found guilty?
Right.
I mean, dude.
All of that evidence to get him, and he was in shock. He was bawling, crying. I was saying to myself, man, you know where you going is, I say, since you was infatuated with black women, you're going to learn what it be. You're going to become one now. So you make sure you flex your muscles and breathe.
Hey, I'll tell you what. This guy got I thought it was awesome. I mean, he had this look on his face like the dude thought we had a deal. The thing that gave me a lot of hope in this time of year is that the jury that convicted this is a white man accused of raping 14 black women, and that's just what we know about. That's just what came up. It sounds like this is his MO every day on the job, and the thing that gave me a lot of hope. We saw the Trayvon Martin verdict where some, look, I'm going to respect the jury's decision. I didn't sit on there. I'll just say that I found it suspicious, and from the pieces I saw, they had a different opinion. The Darren Wilson grand jury was basically a prosecutor choosing not to prosecute. This was an all-white jury in a suburban area of Oklahoma City, a state that has, is some would still consider southern or southwestern, but I mean, it's definitely it ain't New York and it's not California. Put it that way. And they put this guy away, and that gives me some hope that maybe that all lives are starting to matter. Maybe the message is sinking in. This wasn't even a murder. This was a rape. So I mean, it was one of those crimes in the past. Sometimes they can get prosecuted, or perpetrator, especially a law enforcement officer, would skate, or these would be women. His MO was he would find women with criminal records, which would make them less credible. These are women. So these are all women with rap sheets,
and
right?
They didn't want to go back and tell.
Right. And so and then all that being said, they put this guy away. They threw the book at him. So it gives me a little hope in this holiday season that maybe we're starting. It is a very public beginning of turning some corners. There need to be more examples like this where it is based on the evidence, the facts of the case, and the content of a person's character. And that's how justice is supposed to work.
He'll be okay. He won't be alone. He will find him some company in there, and he will have the closeness. He will know exactly what a black woman goes through. He is going to become one.
He will feel every.
I just leave it at that. So
length of the journey.
Right.
So before we jump into our college segment, though, Eric, it's really going to be telling what happens in Chicago. That is really going to determine whether or not the country is starting to realize that black lives truly matter. And that is not to say that other lives don't, but we need to emphasize, because of it appears the videos that we see seems to insinuate that there is no regard for black lives.
Right.
Chicago's going to be the jumping off point.
Exactly, man. And just to second what you just said, with the Black Lives Matter, and same thing when people say about the black on black crime. And I look at it as, to me, black on black crime it's a myth. It's something that you came up with, because who else? When you go to Mexico, it's going to be Mexican on Mexican crime. You go to if you go to China, it's going to be a Chinese on Chinese crime.
It's crime.
It's crime. So it doesn't matter if you go to Brazil, it's Brazilian on Brazilian. So of course, if it is crime, and in the area is nothing but blacks, who are you going to be? So I don't get off into that. Also with the Black Lives Matter, it's almost, I look at it as, of course all lives matter. But we're picking something that's almost like an endangered species. It's almost like, yes, all animals matter, but we have a problem with these dolphins, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we're going to concentrate strictly on these dolphins because they're an endangered species. So it's sort of like that, not disrespecting the whales, not disrespecting the octopus.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just that we have a certain problem with this part right here.
Right.
And so we're kind of concentrating on that to try to stop this certain problem. Of course, we have our own issues that we have to deal with within ourselves and in the black community. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And that just goes to socioeconomics. I can go into a lot of when you talk about crime. Most of it is about money. But and I just hear people say that. I just kind of wanted to say that. And Perry's hit it right on the head. This Chicago thing, this thing with Donald Trump, what he's saying about banning all Muslims, it's all race related, man. It's just it's like different fires going on.
At least Donald Trump comes out and says it, though. There's no hiding his message.
There's no hiding his message. Clear. And what's so crazy about it is
that doesn't make it any less egregious.
I never suggested that. I'm just saying it's not BS.
Right. But what I mean is he is the mouthpiece for the people that really want to say what he's saying. So the more rhetoric he's coming with, the more support he's getting. You know what I mean? This is, to me, he is the mouthpiece of what people really want to say what he's saying. But and when you vote and go to polls, you can do that in secret, so no one knows who you're really voting for. You know what I mean? So all of the rhetoric he's actually saying, and he's actually leading and gaining in points, that means the country and people are behind him. They're really believing in all that stuff that he's saying. They may come on TV and say something else, but they believing in what Donald Trump is saying, and he is their mouthpiece. They're tired, and it's like, go ahead, Donald, go ahead and speak, keep talking. You know what I mean? We're gonna back you from secret. We're gonna keep those poll numbers up, because obviously, if he's winning in the polls, he has support. People can come out and say he's crazy. He or their mouthpiece.
I have a conspiracy theory on that, but I'll save my wacky political theories maybe for as this advances, if he survives some of the January primaries.
Oh yeah, but what we got today though?
I'll tell you what, we got Coach Jamie Holmes should be calling any second now. He just called me a minute ago. I think our Mars might have gotten crossed on which number to call. Perry might not even be on the line right. Perry, you still there? He's probably flipping over and bringing Coach Holmes on right now.
But I have the top 10 college black football poll. As of 12-12, since we was going to transition over here, we got the SWAC championship coming up. And so as of 12...
Guys, hey, Joker,
yes,
Joker,
sir.
before we transition, man, we have a special guest on the phone.
Who we got?
And he is the former head basketball coach of Class C Family Christian Academy. He is currently the head basketball coach of Class 3A, the Baker Buffaloes. You called this game last night against Port Allen. But before I get into the business of that, Coach Holmes, can you give us an update on Junior? Coach Holmes?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, can you give us an update on Junior?
On my oldest son?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's still attending BRCC with aspirations to continue to play in baseball.
All right. Now, how many state championships did he win at Family Christian Academy?
Two state runner-ups.
2 state championships, 2 state runner-ups, and he was a pitcher. Was he all-state as well, Coach?
Oh, he made coaches all-state twice. He was a utility player.
All right. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, just had to get that update in. I hadn't heard from Junior in a minute, and I knew he was a phenomenal athlete over at Family Christian Academy, and it's great to hear that he's pursuing his passion in baseball, and hopefully that'll take him far. Let's talk about the Baker Buffaloes. Sounds like you're in the gym right now, Coach.
Yeah, we have a game at 12:30 against 12:15, 12:30 against Dutchtown High School this morning.
Okay, talk to us about what's coming up for Baker. What's going on over there with the Baker program?
We have a tournament coming up next week. The Wade Skies tournament, December 17th through 19th, and I skip one at December 15th. We're going to Walker High School, and as you guys know, we play in the toughest district in the state of Louisiana.
Hey, Coach, I covered your game last night. Now, I saw you players playing really hard. There was a lot of turnovers. Tell me your thoughts about the game last night and how you players played.
We play very good. We're a team that drive on intensity and team defense, and we're going to lead it to the table. But I'm waiting to see how we're going to respond today. we didn't have the effort that we have been putting forward this season. Because before the game was 5-2, and right now we're 5-3 going into the game with Dutchtown.
Right. Is that the elimination game at the East Iberville today, right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Name some of your key players for us, Coach.
Well, we're being led by when he comes to play, he may be one of the best guards in the state. He's a 6'3" lefty, Ronnie Hamilton Jr.
His name Hamilton. He's good.
He's number one. When he comes to play, he's a special kid to watch. We're working on some leadership with him, and we landed in the middle by a 6'4" senior, Mark Lee. That's a baseball kid that's playing basketball, but he brings a lot of toughness to the program.
Yes, sir. I thought Mark Lee did a good job. I thought Mark Lee did a good job last night. Also, Hamilton in spurts. He was coming in. He looked like he to be ambidextrous. He can go with his left or his right hand, primarily left-handed. But I thought he was leading the team spurts. But you can see exactly what you're saying, Coach. You can see the development in him, and all he has to do is just stick with it, work on his game a little bit more. Stop those turnovers, and I think y'all guys will be fine.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, let's talk a little bit about that tough district. We talk about this district all the time, but just name who you think will be at the top basketball-wise coming up in your district.
Because this is what I call the district, first of all, is the ACC of high school basketball. It's the ACC of high school basketball.
Okay.
You have the 2000 senior state champs with the LSU guys over there and the University High. You have the legend himself in Harvey Edge at Glenwood High School.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. You have Port Allen team that beat me last night.
Right.
Right. Then you go to Donaldsonville, And you have athletes that you'll never see, that you'll never see before. God is probably the best athletes in the state of Louisiana. Not finished. Yeah, West Louisiana. Right. Bully, which I was his assistant coach as well, coached by Kirby Lou.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Parkview Baptist. Wow.
That's a brutal district, that 6-3A.
You all right, Coach? You gonna make it?
Sounds like he's laboring with his breathing as he goes through Parkview Baptist. Oh man, no, I'm just kidding, Coach.
What you saying, Coach? So there is no nights off in District 6-3A, correct? No, there's no nights off. But I tell you this: if you're a player, you want to be in this district. If you're a coach, you want to coach in this district.
That's what's up, Coach.
All right. Well, be careful what you ask for. Hey, Coach, you know you are always welcome on our show. We just appreciate everything that you do for high school sports and Baker. And prior to that, you did a phenomenal job, Family Christian. And we just greatly, Coach, and anytime you want to come back,
I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir, man. Right. We appreciate it, Coach. Good luck to you.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Coach. That was Coach Jamie Holmes, head basketball coach at Baker High School, first year at Baker, former Family Christian Academy Flames head coach, regular friend of the show, always keeps us up to date with information, always had his doors open to us wherever he is, and we're very, very thankful for that. And we'll be bringing you more of Coach Holmes and the Baker Buffaloes as the year advances on.
Yeah, he was pretty animated last night, too, man.
That's how he rolls. That's how he rolls, yeah. That is how he rolls.
But I can see the passion, and I can see, it's one thing, and I didn't know all this as I was watching the game. I can see that Coach is on his way doing the right thing with that team, because you can see their effort. It's just now it's been being able to implement the program and the kids buying into it, but you can actually see, him working with that team, and so I thought that was cool. Yeah.
Right. It's just a tough district, man. I mean, the weakest team in the district is probably West Feliciana, and that's probably the only subpar team in the district. Glen Oaks, Bruley, Port Allen, man, it's just phenomenal. So,
yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and transition to our college so we can get some of that in.
Well, look, Joker we were just about to cover the final the AURN Black College Football poll. Joker, I know we got a new champion in North Carolina, A&T.
They got him ranked number one.
Yeah, they nipped Alcorn of the SWAC, and you look at the first place votes. It was very, very close there, and I'll let you carry the ball for the rest of them if you like.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
you got it right there.
Yeah, sure, I got it. So we have third place Prairie View A&M, which just saying that, being of my age and being from a time where Prairie View lost games in didn't win a game for 8 or 9 years, and it's so strange to see that. But they have finished number 3 in the country.
Wow.
Grambling State University, that just 2 years ago was circling the drain, had players who didn't want to play. They finished ranked number 4. Bethune-Cookman finished ranked 5th and actually got a first place vote. That sounds like a little home cooking there. North Carolina Central finishes 6th. South Carolina State finishes 7th. Tuskegee, Alabama finishes 8th. Bowie State 9th. And our Southern University Jaguars finish in a top 10 finish in the SBN Black College Football poll. So big props to Southern University, as they have a top 10 finish, and that is, I think that's awesome for our Jaguars. Other schools that also received votes are Tennessee State, also Virginia Union received some votes in that poll. Also, Hampton, Alabama State, and Virginia State. And on the hotline, we have Coach Dawson Odoms. Coach, what can we say now that we've been covering you for several years? You had success. You have a SWAC championship, and by all means, it's going to be some good things for you going forward in the future. Isn't that correct?
Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions.
Well, I feel you, Coach. And so with that top 10 finish, I think that bodes very well for Coach in the future. Also on that side of town with the Southern University, sorry about that. With the Southern University Jaguars, we have them on the hardwood coming up tomorrow. They are playing. The Jags are off to a fantastic start, actually, a really good start. There's one peculiar blemish on their record, but they're 5-2. They lost their first game of the season against the University of Arkansas, a team that finished ranked last year. But then they've gone 5-1, defeating Mississippi State in the SEC, defeating Tulane, and defeating SLU also. The head scratcher is their other loss was actually a 14-point loss to Grand Canyon University. I don't know if this is one of those schools that takes players who would otherwise be D1 players, and because of maybe academic issues or some kind of eligibility, they play at that level. But they got body slammed there. That was kind of strange. They were actually dominated in the paint for a school that has some big players in the paint at the mid-major level. But otherwise, Southern's off to a great start, and they've beaten some schools and beaten them very convincingly. Tomorrow they'll play Ecclesia College at the F.G. Clark Activity Center at 3 o'clock. That game you can watch on GoJag Sports. There will be a link on there to see that game. There's no television, but, with the exception of the strange trip, maybe it was going out to Arizona in the thin air, I don't know, but other than that blemish on the record, the Jags are off to a fantastic start, Perry. You and your fellow alums have got to be thrilled.
Absolutely, Eric, without a doubt. Let me say this. Not so fast on giving the national championship to North Carolina A&T. The first inaugural celebration next weekend, next Saturday in Atlanta, where North Carolina A&T will take on the SWAC representative Alcorn State Braves, who are defending their national championship. Last year was a mythical national championship.
They're going to play.
They're going to play.
Oh, okay. Right. I didn't know. Perry, just for myself, and I didn't even know this, and we don't live in a vacuum. Catch our listeners up, because there used to be your SWAC MEAC matchup, and it stopped. Could you maybe give a quick history on that? Because even I didn't know that. That was news to me.
So, it was formerly on a Heritage Bowl years ago, and it stopped maybe about a decade or so ago due to financial reasons, but now they have a new financial backing. The way that the HBCU schools have been overlooked for the 1AA playoff, case in point, Prairie View has a better record than several teams that received at-large bids to the FCS playoffs, the Football Championship Series. But yet they overlooked Prairie View. So because this was happening year after year, the powers that be, the leaders of the SWAC, the leaders of the MEAC, decided that they would re-engage this game since their schools were being left out of the FCS at-large bids.
So wow. So that's that, and I think it's good that game is being played. I don't understand how they're not getting these invites to the FC. I remember once upon a time, many years ago when the SWAC MEAC had their traditional championship, they weren't getting the invites because of the history that the schools wanted to play this game, and now that they stopped doing it, they weren't getting the invites. So I'm glad to see these schools getting additional postseason play. My bad then on crowning on as Dennis Green would say, crowning them earlier. I did not realize this was actually going to be played on the field, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm glad to see it's going to be settled on the field. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, back to the hardwood, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the hardwood. So we have Southern going on the hardwood tomorrow, and also we have another school that is giving a little pause, and or at least has a player that is giving pause and something to write home about. So we'll head. Gosh darn it, missed that. On the other side of town. we got to try that again. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. On the other side of town, Louisiana State University has got off to I don't know. This team is really becoming. Teams are often a mirror image of their coach. Johnny Jones was a protege of his former coach, Dale Brown, and this LSU team seems to be imaging. They almost seem to be a modern-day Dale Brown coach team, because this is a team that just finds a way to play down to its competition. We're talking about a team that lost to the likes of Marquette, that kind of played very uninspired basketball against North Carolina State, a team with a ton of talent, a team that should expectedly be in the tournament, and a team that frankly has one of the best players in the country. This is a team that lost to College of Charleston. It just seems like they find ways to play down to their competition. And granted, it's a non-conference game. Granted, the conference record's what matters. The rankings in the latter part of the academic school year, in other words, the 2015-2016 years, the rankings in the calendar year 2016 that mean the most. But they just seem to be playing lethargic, uninspired ball, and it's a lot like Dale Brown, where Dale Brown got up for the big games and could motivate for the big games, and for the little fish, and that's not going to look so good come tournament time. And if they don't make the tournament, he's going to have a problem on his hands. But Ben Simmons has been the act to watch. Ben Simmons is leading LSU in points per game, is leading LSU in rebounds per game, is leading LSU in assists per game, steals per game, blocks per game, three-point shots made per game, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage. He's leading almost in every major category. Folks, if you like to see talented players play, you better buy your tickets right now, because this man will be the first pick in the 2016 NBA draft. In the meanwhile, they do face the University of Houston in Houston tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. That game will be on ESPN2. The University of Houston, the one thing I will give LSU is that Marquette and North Carolina State and teams of that ilk are at least are better out of conference opponents on the hardwood. So they've at least been tested, even though they've lost those contests. Houston has not really faced any substantial competition. So I drift out on a limb to say, because LSU might be a bit more battle tested, that they'd have the advantage tomorrow. But the way they've played against mid-major schools or non-Power 5 conference schools, I'm not going to bet the farm on it, but I do expect LSU to win. I do expect a big showing from Ben Simmons no matter what.
Oh, yeah. Well, the number one player in the country, and just like you said, he will be the number one pick coming out after this year. I think it's kind of early right now. A lot of teams like Kentucky, a lot of the top teams have all these fabulous freshmen coming in. And so I think Johnny Jones is trying to get his lineup right, and trying to get the chemistry right with the team. So I'm going to reserve judgment on him right now because it's still early.
Wasn't sure.
I will say this, that is a really good basketball team down there, but just like the football team, they are young. And when you have young kids, then they are going to be up and down. They're going to have peaks and valleys. But I think in the end, the people in Baton Rouge will be proud of this basketball team. However, what Eric just stated about coaches and them being leaving their imprint on their players, well, that is exactly right. And based on that, I need the LSU people to hear me here. Mm-hmm. You're going to have another reason to hate Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm feeling you on that, man.
You mean Avery Johnson?
Avery Johnson has the imprint of Ben Jobe all over him. and Ben Jobe was a phenomenal coach.
Yes, he was.
So you're going to have another reason to hate Alabama.
One other point I wanted to make also was that we discussed this last year, and I had predicted that Brandon Sampson would get, I think we talked about whether he would get time, would he play his freshman year. He is doing well.
And I was wrong, Joker. Okay, Joker, I was wrong.
Yeah, Brandon Sampson getting 25 minutes per night, averaging 9 points. I'll stop rubbing it in. But I'm happy to see the young man. I'll tell you what, though, I shared the same concerns that Perry had because of the lineup, and I didn't know if the'd be a place for him to play either, but they're getting him a lot of good time off the bench. He's playing well.
He's a scorer. He knows how to put the ball in the basket.
Exactly, he does.
He's very smart basketball IQ-wise. He has to get a little more size.
You're right.
But I think he's fearless, and I think Coach sees that. He's a scorer. Kind of reminds me of Marcus Thornton.
And the good news is Brandon will be here next year too, right. So he's going to continue to improve, and we'll have him for a couple of years.
So let's see, man. We'll see.
Look, there's still some college getting some marquee college basketball some marquee college basketball matchups. Today, later this afternoon, we'll have a matchup between the number one team in the country, Michigan State, as they will host the Southeastern Conference's Florida Gators. Now, the line is that Michigan State's almost a 10-point favorite in this game, and there's reason to do so. There's reason for that. Michigan State is undefeated this year. They're 10-0. They won at a neutral site over Kansas. They won over Providence, who's still ranked. They defeated Louisville at home, and they have a guard named Denzel Valentine, one who really kind of was riding on the bench for a little bit last year, and I want to say the year prior. Well, now he's averaging 19 points a game and really grabbing the bull by the horns. This is a matchup of the 2000 National Championship game, of course, won by Tom Izzo. A lot of folks might have thought that Michigan State underachieved last year. Well, they're going to have an opportunity to show what they're really made of. Meanwhile, Florida's 6-2, and they are, this is their first year without their legendary coach, Billy Donovan, who went to coach the Oklahoma City Thunder of the NBA. Mike White's got his hands full. The low shooting percentages, chucking up a lot of shots. They went 1 for 3 against Miami. Losing to them, they just that the highlights of that game did not show me a very disciplined team, and they've kind of had this as a recurring theme. Michigan State, meanwhile, has one of the best defenses in the country. They only allow 35% from the field, not from the three-point arc, from the field. There's not a lot of college football on today except the Army-Navy game, but I expect Michigan State to blow Florida to pieces. But I think seeing Denzel Valentine might be worth the price of admission. 5 o'clock on ESPN2. Needless to say, I'm picking Tom Izzo and the Spartans in this game.
That's an easy pick. Tom to the Izzo. Tom to the Izzo. Hey, come on, man. That's easy. First year coach coming down to Florida replacing Donovan and Tom Izzo. Come on, Michigan State all day.
Michigan State all day.
I knew where Coach was going with that. So coming up in about 4 minutes, we have Noel Jackson with Music Satisfaction here on 96.9 FM, WHYR LP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. And, of course, with tomorrow being Sunday, we have the men of the National Football League. There's a lot of good football on the schedule for tomorrow, but the Saints aren't one of them, as they travel to Florida to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and one of the 2 Rookie of the Year candidates in Jameis Winston, along with probably Todd Gurley of the Rams and Amari Cooper of the Raiders. The Buccaneers and Winston are getting better as the year goes on. The Saints are falling apart in flames. They had another embarrassing and hapless defeat in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Sometimes when you only score 38 points, you have to rely on your defense. What are they thinking? I mean, this team, it doesn't matter. I get so tired of Drew Brees is washed up. Drew Brees is fine. They can't stop a runny nose on defense, and I think that's going to continue. I think the Buccaneers and Winston, who are starting to come together, Lovie Smith has their defense actually playing quietly very well. I think the Saints get wiped off the map. The Saints actually are 4-2 in games in which they score 25 points or more, but the problem is the defense as of late. Like I said, 38 points just didn't quite cut the mustard. Against the Giants, 51 barely got them by. I think the Saints get lit up like a Christmas tree, and will have their second consecutive losing season sealed up tomorrow in Tampa.
Man, I'm gonna pick the Saints in this game. Even though I love Jameis Winston, I think what he's doing is he is developing very, very fast. From the first game until now, his IQ on the football field is very, very high, and he is learning this game very fast. But I'm gonna pick the Saints. This is the type of game that the Saints, after they blowing that game last week, I think they bounced back and beat Tampa Bay this week.
Saints.
Wow, that is it's shocking too that I'm the only one not picking the Saints, and well, we'll see. We shall see. And big game. There are a lot of big games on the lineup tomorrow. A lot of good matchups. Pittsburgh is going to travel to Paul Brown Stadium to face the Cincinnati Bengals, and these are 2 teams. Look, Cincinnati right now is in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny to have home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. So they are looking to wrap up the AFC North. Pittsburgh has gotten some renewed life, especially with Ben Roethlisberger back in the lineup, and I won't use the word healthy. He never is, but he's certainly playing well. Pittsburgh's also been hot. They are streaking, but Cincinnati, just with that defense, man, man. I mean, as long as Andy Dalton doesn't do anything stupid, they're going to be fine. Cincinnati's only allowing 16 points a game. That's in the line with the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, not quite the 85 Bears. But I just don't see, without Le'Veon Bell and as well as Roethlisberger's playing, he's had to pull some rabbits out of the hat. At Paul Brown, I just think Cincinnati's going to win this game tomorrow. I just don't see how the Steelers can muster up enough points and have the weapons to score the points on Cincinnati. So as long as the Red Rocket doesn't explode in midair, I think Cincinnati wins this ball game.
Cincinnati, I think Pittsburgh can put up points. They have an offense. I just think that Cincinnati has everything that they need. Defense, receiver, running backs, they have it all. It's just about them putting it all together. They're my Super Bowl team on the AFC side, so I'm going with the Bengals.
I'm going with the Bengals as well. That's a really good team. You guys both make some really good points. That running game, courtesy of Baton Rouge, and Jeremy Hill, those guys are just good.
And they got everything. They got a wide. They got a break-open receiver, A.J. Green.
Mm-hmm.
They got a defense, and it's just about them getting over the humps.
Big pass-catching tight end. They got Giovanni Bernard, who can run and catch out of the backfield. And say people have criticized Andy Dalton, but you know what?
Defensive back, Pac-Man Jones. They got lockdown defenders. They have it all.
Andy Dalton looks much better this year, and this is a guy who only needed to improve a little bit for the. You only need a little bit out of him for them to be good, and he's playing as well as Boomer Esiason did in 1988 when he won the MVP. If you compare it year to date, so let's see. That's all the time we got today on Louisiana All-American Sports.
Great show.
15 seconds, folks.
I'm going to give shouts out to everybody, man, out there in the Baton Rouge area, my mom and my family, Kay Shower, everybody. Peace out.
3 LSU freshmen made the all-freshman team for the SEC. William Clapp on the offensive line. And Darius Geis at the running back.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
ADT, J&S, love you.
David Price to the Red Sox, Jason Hayward to the Cubs. Have a good afternoon.
Hail to the king and lots of love. May he protect us.